Welcome to LA Fishguys. This will be the first real big service on that 400-gallon Bowfront since we set it up. We've gone through the cycle. We cycled it with damsels. We've got a number of clownfish in there now. We did just come through the tail end of a diatom bloom where everything gets coated with a layer of brown, filmy, algae-looking stuff, but I think we're at the tail end of it. What we're going to do today is trade out all those coral decorations in the tank, put in clean ones, do a small little vacuuming of the gravel, but next week we're going to come back and do a big 100-gallon water change to get all the sediment out of the gravel and get that tank in a position where we're ready to start putting a number of fish into it. So let's get to work. And so equipment-wise, we're doing well. There's our refrigeration unit holding steady at 78 degrees. There is our large 4,500-gallon-hour pump. I ended up having to put it on a towel to eliminate some of the noise transference, and it's running very quietly now. There's the canister filter with the pleated cartridge. Our capable wet-dry trickle filter. There's our Iwaki filter water pump, our UV sterilizer, and then what you may not have seen in the initial setup is the addition of the algae scrubber. That is growing some algae in there now, but there's not a whole lot of nutrients in the tank for it to do. A little bit of salt splatter as a result of the scrubber depositing its water back into the tank. And in 1 week we dropped, it looks like a little more than an inch, and that's probably a good 5 gallons of evaporation. There's the protein skimmer, which doesn't really drive out much. And so there's our system, as I mentioned, diatom bloom, and we're in the tail end of it at the moment.
And as a result of either something in the faucet water used or the salt mix, quite often a new tank will experience this, again called a diatom bloom. Generally, it's quite short-lived and goes away on its own. If it were to continue, I would suggest re-evaluating the source of your water or your salt mix. Today's changing of the coral decorations and vacuuming of the gravel will easily cause this algae bloom to disappear. So in preparation of today's aquarium service, I've placed down drop cloths on the floor to protect the marble floor, but to also eliminate potentially slipping on those wet floors. Part of being in the fish biz is not just protecting the customer's equipment and home, but protecting yourself.
And with the canopy lid now open, we've got access into the top of the tank by removing the lids off the openings cut in the top of the tank. And you can see that 6, I believe, of the LED strip lights have come on. That was the result of me turning them on manually. The remaining 2 are actually on channel 2 of the lighting controller. So there's essentially 2 sets of lights that come on. Those that aren't on yet would typically come on first and be the last ones off. And then this 5 or 6 here would be the second set on and the first set off at the end of the evening. I've got the big set turned on so I can see inside the tank.
All fish guys love big tanks, and this 400-gallon Bowfront definitely is considered big. Now that I'm beginning to actually service the tank, I am becoming aware that along with the big tank is the big work. In addition to these 3 boxes of decorative corals, which weigh about 50 pounds each, and all are carried up 1 flight of stairs each. And then there's the 5-gallon jugs of salt water. This is becoming apparent that this is a big job. And so until I develop a routine, I'm gonna spread out all of this second set of decorative corals in front of me. When I originally purchased the 2 sets of corals, I was able to select duplicates of each coral. While I do wish that each time the tank is redecorated, it does look different, it's also nice to see what you have available to work with. And with all the corals set out, I now need to position the empty styrofoam boxes that I carried them up with in front of the aquarium so that I can place the dripping, dirty corals directly in too.
And so with all the coral decorations set off to the side, we'll go ahead and lift the lids off the top of the tank and start removing the dirty corals.
As I begin to remove the first dirty coral, I realize quickly that I need to protect the front edge of the canopy, as I don't want to drip water on it or on the face of the aquarium or the stand. So I'll place one of my large towels over the edge of the canopy. Now I can begin to remove all 30 plus corals from the tank. So you're probably asking yourself, why do I use the white decorative corals? Well, the answer? You may recall this job started by breaking down a 14-year-old reef tank. So the homeowner no longer wants the living reef look. The advantage of the naturally colored coral decorations is that every 2 weeks, which is generally the amount of time it takes to grow algae, I can easily, or fairly easily, replace all the dirty decorations with a clean set of decorations, thereby having a fairly consistent clean or bright look in the aquarium.
And that's the last of the decorative corals. 3 boxes worth.
Would you like to reduce your nitrate and phosphate as well as algae problems? Consider the Turbos Aquatics LED algae scrubber line, which consists of the L2, L3, and L4 models. All units include dual drain system, slotted pipe, growth screen, bulkheads, and dual high-quality growth spectrum optimized LED lights and heat sinks. The L-Series algae scrubbers are easily installed and externally mounted either above the aquarium or placed over your existing filter system. Control aquarium nutrients naturally using algae. For more information, visit turbosaquatics.com. Have you made your plans yet to attend the Marine Aquarium Expo this coming April 6th and 7th of 2013? This is the largest aquarium consumer trade show in North America and a destination spot for marine hobbyists and coral frag enthusiasts. Held at the Orange County Fair and Event Center and featuring over 70 exhibitors, speakers, demonstrations, and a huge opportunity drawing. There's even a fin zone for entertaining young hobbyists. That's the Marine Aquarium Expo at the Orange County Fairgrounds this coming April 6th and 7th, Saturday 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. Adults $15, senior and military only $10, and kids under 12 are free. For more information, visit marineaquariumexpo.com.
Come join us at the Marine Aquarium Expo. See you soon.
Tropical Fish Hobbyist magazine has been the authoritative source for aquarium keepers since the first legendary issue rolled off the presses in 1952. With informative articles month after month about the fascinating world of freshwater aquariums, saltwater setups, paludariums, ponds, and more, illustrated in crisp detail by the world's top aquatic photographers, TFH covers it all. And now, with subscriptions starting at $13.95 and a mobile digital edition you can take with you wherever you go, TFH is your ultimate resource for all things aquatic. And so after whining about having to carry all 3 boxes, that's 50-pound boxes each, of corals up one flight of stairs, I now get to carry all 3 individual boxes back down that flight of stairs and back out to my van. I can see this job's gonna kick my butt.
And here's the second hardest thing about doing this job. Carrying the water in.
Today's 30-gallon water change, which seems small for a tank this large, means 3 trips back up the flight of stairs with 45 pounds of water in each arm.
So now that we've got the coral decorations out of the tank, first thing we'll do is go through and clean the inside acrylic panels. We'll start off using the pad on a long stick, and then we'll go eventually to the hand pad.
The cleaning pad on the long handle is used because of the long reach that's required. The first thing I want to do is make sure that the cleaning pad is free of any sand or gravel. We don't want to put a scratch in the tank on its first aquarium service. This wide cleaning pad will easily remove the film of brown algae growth that has grown on the front and side acrylic panels.
And now we'll take our pad on a stick and go through and clean that gravel line.
While using the standard cleaning pad with handle, I'll go down into the gravel and gently push it away from the acrylic panels. Once the gravel is away, I can then press the cleaning pad portion against the acrylic and proceed to clean the gravel line with minimal risk towards scratching the acrylic material.
And I had mentioned earlier that that brown algae growth was the result of diatoms. The diatoms is usually a bloom that occurs right after you've set a tank up, and it's most likely the results of some impurities or maybe some excess minerals in the salt mix. Most likely it's the result of the faucet water. It may have contained a high level of silicates, and that usually encourages those brown diatom algae blooms, or golden bloom as it's sometimes referred to. So with that in mind, you can see how it's grown on the gravel, and with the gravel turned over, that's easily hidden. We're going to do a small little vacuuming of the gravel today, but I'm going to do a large water change next week, 100 gallons, where I can really go in and vacuum out a lot of the debris that's didn't get washed out originally in that gravel. What I'm going to do now is go through with a large brush and just lightly brush off the rock scape so that it doesn't have all that brown algae growth on it as well. And we can see its natural coloration or characterization, if that's a real word.
This Home Depot bristle brush allows me to go in and aggressively brush off the algae, or in this case, the diatom growth that has occurred upon the rock structure. While many have criticized the sterile approach I take to rock work, but it's situations just like this that give me far greater control over the environment inside the aquarium. Think of the aquarium as the polar bear exhibit at the zoo. Instead of replacing yellow snow, it's easier to wash off white-colored concrete that looks like snow. And regardless of nutrient levels that may build up in this aquarium, by removing the decorations, I can easily clean off any algae growth that may occur on the rock structure.
So as I mentioned, the tank finished cycling approximately 4 weeks ago. I've done 2 20-gallon water changes, which is nowhere near enough for a tank this size. For a couple of reasons. 20 gallons in 400 is not going to dilute anything. And 2, 20 gallons doesn't get me very far as vacuuming the gravel. I have another service that I do ahead of this, and it takes 30 gallons, and I can typically comfortably fit 50, maybe 60 gallons in the van in 5-gallon jugs, but I really can't accommodate that much more. So what I'm probably going to do is begin to schedule some occasional 100-gallon water changes. That'll allow me to really clean up the gravel, and it'll have a pretty significant dent or effect in diluting whatever nutrients may be building up. For now, it's a 20-gallon water change. That's what I'll do today while I've got the decorations out of the tank. As I mentioned, I'm going to come back next week. We're going to do that 100-gallon water change. But for now, it's 20 gallons. Let's do what we can.
And with a quick draw on the end of the siphon hose, we'll start the gravel vacuum. The point of vacuuming the gravel in a fish-only system is to extract debris out of the gravel. This also fluffs up the gravel and releases any trapped gas bubbles that might have occurred as the result of decay from a low oxygen spot in the gravel. Additionally, as a result of the diatom bloom that occurred, the gravel has a brown, fuzzy look to it. The vacuuming process will stir or turn the gravel so that it looks white or bright once again.
So make it a point to come on back for part 2 as we finish vacuuming the gravel, address some of the equipment in the filter system, and start putting those coral decorations back into the tank.